Well, imagine being told in school that your dream job is unrealistic. Yes, I'm sure a lot of people
we're both
know
told that, yeah.
For a while, our next guest struggled to find her place in the real world, preferring to stay in the comfort of her books while quietly holding tight to the dream of being a writer.
And she proved all the naysayers wrong, to say the least, as she's here today with not only her debut novel right in front of us, but she's also managed to bag a TV adaptation. Author Louise Nealon joins us now. Massive congratulations to Louise. In terms of a whirlwind, it does seem to have all happened quite quickly. Element Pictures, the production company responsible for the massive success that is Normal People, written by Sally Rooney, have bought this book and bought it even before Normal People had gone on screen.
Yeah. It's massive. Like, I could never have predicted any of this. Like, I'm a big daydreamer, so I've always, when I was milking cows with my dad, I always kind of imagined like being on a sofa like this, talking to you, Karen, maybe not you.
Not really. Listen, I won't take that to heart. That's all right, don't worry.
The only way I thought I'd meet you as being a hefty rugby player. But I'm glad it turned out this way. Element Pictures bought the rights, and they've been excellent people to work with.
And do you have any idea what's the plan with it going forward?
Yeah, it's very early days. I've had Zoom chats with them, and very early days.
Star in it?
Oh God, no, Tommy.
That's going to be the next thing.
Is there a gig for Tommy?
Maybe a couple of the cows will get us.
Well, when you were watching Normal People, which just, and because I think we all watched in a pandemic, we all just fell in love with Marianne and Connell. You were watching it knowing the people responsible for this success are behind your project. So how did you watch? You must have been holding your breath going, I can't believe it's blowing up so much.
Yeah, because I was a massive fan of Element Pictures before Normal People came out. And then when I saw what they did with the adaptation, because I'm a massive fan of Sally Rooney and Normal People and the story. And it's just, when it's brought onto a different medium, it just takes on a whole different life of its own. And they were so careful with it, and so they treated it so carefully and beautifully that I just felt so lucky
and safe handing over your work to
them. I feel like I'm in safe hands there, definitely.
It's amazing stuff. Can we go back to the start where we said that people are told they have a dream and it's unrealistic? I mean, where did that come from you?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a writer, ever since I knew what a book was. And I loved writing in school, and my secondary school English teacher was great, actually, and she was really encouraging. And actually, when I went to Trinity, I dropped out the first time round because I was so overwhelmed.
What were you doing in Trinity?
I was doing English. Yeah,
and just didn't.
It was just so
in.
Tommy. I asked a guard where Trinity was the first day. That's how much of a country bumpkin I am.
You say you felt
I know how that feels. It's all right. Karen, maybe not so much, but I know.
But I do understand that fish out of water, because you might be a big player in your school, and your teacher is encouraging you, and you go in and you're lost. And you say you felt like you were literally turning up wearing your mother's clothes. That's how alien it all felt.
Oh yeah,
to you.
yeah, or my dad's clothes. I was slumping around the arse block in a tracksuit, and everyone else was in heels and fab clothes and talking in weird accents, and I was like, where are you from? And they're like, oh, Kerry or Tipperary. And I was like, how do you speak like that? But anyways, so I dropped out the first time around. I went back eventually, but I met up with my teacher for a coffee. She got my number, and she's just one of those magical people that she was like, you can do this. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to write a book.
Do you know what? Can I just say that we talk about teachers all the time here, and we talk about kids not going back to schools and everything else, and sometimes teachers do get a hard rap, but people forget how influential they are on young people.
Absolutely.
And even when you leave school, and they're so special, and having a good English teacher like that is inspiring.
And she was the first person who was a writer as well. Sarah Butler's her name. And just seeing someone she brought in an extract of her novel to us, and seeing that someone could do it.
Yeah.
When I went to college then, I thought that my career path would be maybe a secondary school English teacher, because I looked up to her so much, or I wanted to work in publishing, and I just never thought that writing would be realistic. I always thought it'd be something on the side. And it's only when my mental health began to go slightly downhill that I felt okay, I've literally nothing to lose, because I was in such I was in such a like tricky place at the time, and I felt like so down in the dumps already that I was kind of like, well, I might as well do what I want, as opposed to...
At this stage, you dropped out of college, you move back home, you find salvation in books, basically.
Yeah.
And what you say is the reason a lot of the time in Ireland we tend to be such good writers is because we can't speak it, especially when it comes to difficult topics like mental health.
Yeah, I think Irish people have a knack for deflecting and using humour, you know? Using humour to deflect. I have an awful habit of self-deprecating, and sometimes it works for me because I don't know, people like that.
People like it, yeah. And people are kind of encouraged almost to be self-deprecating.
Yeah, but then you're kind of undermining yourself as well. So everyone was like, "Oh, like you're likable," but I actually didn't feel that great in myself.
Yeah, at the cost of your self-esteem. Yeah. How did you get out of that low place?
So books saved my life. Wow. And I know that sounds corny or but I just kept on reading books, and that was like my safe connection to the world. And I think especially around COVID and stuff, people are missing human connection, and books are becoming more important because we get that, you know, the oxytocin that you get from physical touch when you read a really good sentence, you know.
And were you just at home, you know, did you lock yourself away and just read
no,
books?
No, like I milked cows with my dad, and I played camogie with my local home team. Like I wasn't absolutely down in the dumps, and I wasn't. Like I look back on it now, and that was like the toughest time of my life. But part of the reason why it was so tough was because I pretended to everyone that I was okay, you know.
So you go back, you complete your degree, you do masters after, was it?
Yeah, up in Queens. Loved Belfast. It was a great place. Yeah.
And then tell us about the short story that really kick-started the career then.
Yeah, so I had never been published before. I did an MA in creative writing in Queen's, and after that course finished, I was a terrible waitress in Belfast, and I was like, something needs to change here. Like, I'm not cut out for the waitress in Lark. So I moved home and I started entering writing competitions, just as the kind of like the way you'd enter the Euro Millions. So I like
never win.
I entered it.
Did
but
you
I was
enter
like,
the same one over and over again, or did you mix
God,
it up?
no, because that only came around once a year. So I was kind of like every like writing competition, like just get it out there. And I forgot about it. And then I got an email saying that I'd won, and I thought that it was spam.
No way.
Yeah. So like I rang the number at the bottom, like expecting like someone, I don't know, out foreign to pick up. And they like brought me down to Cork. It was the Cork Short Story Festival, the Sean O'Phelan International Short Story Festival. They put me up in Cork, like did a writing workshop, got to know so many people, met loads of really great people and good friends. And then that's how I got in touch with my agent then, because it was reprinted in the Irish Times.
And it got so many reads. It's still online for people who want to read it. And I know you don't like comparisons, but I mean, it does have overtones of Normal People and Sally Rooney. But then you get this phone call, and we're going back to the self-deprecating thing, like you thought the email was spam, and then the phone call that comes into your house. Tell us about the reaction your dad had when a publisher rings you.
So, I met my agent, Marianne O'Connor, for coffee, and I went back home, and my dad thought that she was a con artist. He was like
he's on the farm. Like I'm sure.
Yeah, he's so protective.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You didn't give her any money, did you?" And I was like, no, not yet. And Marianne's such like a magical person that I was just like, oh, you're too good to be true, sort of thing.
Yeah.
She was kind of telling me that I could write full time and that like writing could be my job, and I just didn't believe her.
And is this just off a short story?
Yeah, all off
and
a short
then
story.
did you get encouraged then to write Snowflake, or have you a couple of different books, or was this kind of the first one?
So Snowflake was in the works for a long time.
Right.
So when I actually dropped out of college, it was then that I got the idea for it, and it was originally set in America. But then it changed over time, and then I got to know the characters over time. There's a man in it, actually, Debbie's uncle, Billy, who I based off...
Caravan, isn't it?
In the Caravan, yeah. I based him off Tommy Tiernan.
Oh, wow!
That always go down well.
I thought you were about to say Tommy Bowe.
Tommy Tiernan in the caravan.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The book is out now. Do we know when we could see this on the small screen, or is that a year or two down
it's
the line?
all up in the air.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, massive congratulations. There's so much hype about it.
Mm.
It's just massive for you, and we wish you very well now in the future.
Thanks
for
much.
coming in.
Success.
Thanks
And
very
the
much.
next book, like Tommy Tiernan could be in this one. You'll be in the next one, maybe. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we've got a guide to restoring your old black and white photographs. That's coming up next.